Picture this. It's September 2026. Apple's on stage. The crowd goes wild. And you're standing in line, boy, credit card in hand, about to spend over $1,000 on a phone that you may have already bought. Apple's high-end iPhone Fold is getting most of the attention this year, but the iPhone 18 Pro has some genuinely meaningful upgrades that most people aren't fully thinking through. And there's one rumored spec on this phone that every hype video is glossing over. It's the one that should actually decide whether you wait or don't. Stick around. So, Mech Rumors just dropped their updated list, 12 reasons to wait for the iPhone 18 Pro, published today, June 18th. And look, I'm going to walk you through every one of those reasons, but I'm also going to give you the ones Mech Rumors didn't put on the list, because there are two sides to this coin, and the side nobody's talking about might change your answer entirely. Let's start with the biggest one. The iPhone 18 Pro models will use Apple's A20 chip built on TSMC's 2 nanometer process. A move to 2 nanometers increases transistor density, and the A20 is expected to deliver roughly 15% faster CPU and GPU performance with about 30% better efficiency compared to the A19 series in the iPhone 17 models. 30% better efficiency. That's not a spec sheet number. That's your phone not dying at 6 p.m. Apple's A20 chip will be packaged with TSMC's wafer-level multi-chip module technology, meaning RAM is integrated directly onto the same wafer as the CPU, GPU, and neural engine. In plain English, everything talks to everything faster. No waiting. It's like going from a group chat to being in the same room. Okay, this is the part I was actually excited about. Apple intends to equip the iPhone 18 Pro models with a variable aperture lens. The main 48 megapixel Fusion camera on both models will reportedly offer variable aperture, which would be a first for the iPhone. Variable aperture means the lens physically opens and closes like a real camera. More light in low conditions, sharper depth control in bright ones. Your phone finally stops pretending it knows better than you. But here's where it gets interesting. Samsung is working on a new 3-layer stacked image sensor reportedly intended for the iPhone 18. The sensor integrates 3 layers of circuitry, which would improve camera responsiveness, reduce noise, and increase dynamic range. Sony has long been Apple's sole image sensor supplier, so Samsung's entry would be a big shift in the iPhone's camera supply chain. Let that land. Apple switching camera sensor suppliers, that's not a rumor, that's a seismic shift. Face ID's flood illuminator is expected to move under the screen on the iPhone 18 Pro models, paving the way for a smaller dynamic island. The dynamic island could shrink by up to 35% compared to previous models. This change is expected as some Face ID components move beneath the display, creating a cleaner and more modern front design, and the result is more screen space and a less intrusive viewing experience. Now look, when the dynamic island launched, people lost their minds. It was clever, it was fun, and then it just sat there being an island. A smaller one is still an island, but more screen real estate on a 6.3-inch display, that I'll take. The displays will reportedly use LTPO Plus technology, which should contribute to longer battery life. Such an upgrade could also contribute to longer battery life since LTPO enables finer control of OLED light emission, potentially allowing the display to optimize its operation based on environmental conditions. In other words, it will know better when to up screen brightness or reduce it, depending on surrounding light sources. And on the Pro Max specifically, battery life gets a major push. Leaked figures point to 5,100 to 5,200 milliamp hours, the largest capacity ever in an iPhone. For context, the iPhone 17 Pro Max launched with 4,685 milliamp hours. That difference could deliver up to 40 hours on a single charge. 40 hours. On a phone, the iPhone battery anxiety era may genuinely be ending. And I'm not going to pretend that doesn't matter, because it does. This is the one I mentioned at the top. With the C2 modem, the iPhone 18 Pro models will reportedly support 5G via satellite for web browsing without Wi-Fi or cellular connectivity, not emergency SOS, not a text to your emergency contact. Actual browsing, actual internet from a satellite. The C2 modem could feature millimeter wave 5G connectivity. It will also support a privacy-focused, limit-precise location setting. Networks will not be able to determine your exact location, so instead of seeing your address, carriers might only see the neighborhood where your device is located. So you get faster connectivity and more privacy at the same time. From a modem Apple built themselves. That's not a checkbox feature, that's infrastructure. The iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max will ship with iOS 27 out of the box. The new OS brings a system-wide customization slider for the liquid glass look and the new long-awaited context-aware Siri, now called Siri AI. Apple announced Siri AI during BUDC 2026. The digital assistant is getting an upgrade with Apple Intelligence and Gemini and will finally gain the promised context awareness and the ability to operate within apps. Siri that actually works inside apps. I know, I didn't believe it either. But here's what matters. This isn't just about Siri being smarter. It's about the A20 Pro having enough on-device processing power to run it properly. The chip and the software are finally designed together. That's a meaningful difference. Okay, we've done the hype. Now let's talk about the part Mac rumors buried. A potential price hike is in the cards for the iPhone 18 Pro, Max, and Pro. According to research, a $270 price hike is possible, $270 on top of what you're already paying. Component prices, and memory included, will make this device much more expensive than previous years. And there's the camera control button. Apple is reportedly working to simplify the camera control buttons designed on iPhone 18 models to reduce costs. The current camera control button on iPhone 17 models uses both capacitive and pressure sensors beneath a sapphire crystal surface. Apple will reportedly remove the capacitive sensing layer and retain only pressure sensing recognition. The simplified version is not about reducing functionality, but about saving money. The current solution is said to be very expensive for Apple and is generating costly after-sales repairs. So they're charging you more and making the button cheaper. Those two things happened in the same product cycle. I'm just going to leave that there. And here's the wild card. Apple is reportedly planning a major change to its iPhone release cycle this year, adopting a two-phase rollout starting with the iPhone 18 series. The iPhone 18 Pro, iPhone 18 Pro Max, and the long-rumored foldable iPhone, the iPhone Ultra, will be released in September 2026, followed by the iPhone 18, iPhone Air 2, and iPhone 18e in spring 2027. Translation: every new iPhone introduced in September 2026 will likely start at $999 or more. If you wanted a base model, you're waiting until spring. If you're on an iPhone 14 or older and you need a new phone this fall, the Pro is simply the only new iPhone on the shelf this September. Apple didn't give you a choice. They chose for you. So here's the actual answer. Should you wait for the iPhone 18 Pro? If you're on an iPhone 15 or older, yes. The 2nm chip C2 modem and under-display Face ID represent a genuine generational leap. Variable aperture camera, 40-hour battery on the Pro Max, 5G via satellite, smaller dynamic island, Siri that might actually be useful inside apps. That is a real upgrade. But if you're on an iPhone 16 Pro or 17 Pro, the upgrade will be less impactful for you. Honest answer. And one more thing, that price hike, nobody knows the final number yet, but if it lands at $270 more, you're paying for the privilege of a slightly smaller pill on your screen and a camera button with fewer sensors. The parts that actually matter, and the chip, the camera, the battery, those are legitimately good. The rest of it is Apple being Apple. I'm curious, if the price goes up by $200 or more, does that change your answer? Let me know in the comments because I think it should.